Hey, what's going on, guys? We are, once Billy comes over here and sits down, that's him making that what noise. All right, here we go. Yeah, welcome to the third iteration of the
TLOC.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but you said it first.
Yeah, I saw it. I really wanted to say it.
Well, I was going to say Turning Locator Podcast, and then you could say TLOC. We'll plan. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. At one point, it'll just be muted, and in the process, it'll say Turning Locator Podcast. Like
in the robot voice. Yeah.
It's just like, you mother effing cupcake mate. It's just that sort of thing. But
that's what you get for feeding the children scrambled eggs. That's from
I didn't get that one.
What's it from? The Big Lebowski. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in any case, we got a lot coming up to you today. We hope that you are going to stick around. We got 3 different topics to talk about. And first, let's go ahead and talk about Smash 4 and what happened this past week at Shockwave.
Okay, so actually, this week's results from Shockwave were exactly the same as last week's.
Surprise.
The top 3. Yeah. So Denty wins, Bwett, Billy gets second, and P-Wing gets third.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty crazy. We saw some new faces do some new things, and we saw some old faces get wrecked.
Yeah,
essentially.
Although I blame Billy completely for my loss because he tricked me into going Luigi one of the games in the matches that I lost.
That was your own fault.
No, you baited me. You were like, "Oh, I really want to see his Luigi." Like, well, I have to go Luigi now. Thanks, Billy.
Oh my!
I didn't do nearly as well. I got 7th. I actually lost to the brothers McComb. So P-Wing is one of 3 brothers. The other 2 are Zeph and Jumpman. And I lost to Jumpman in winners and Zeph in losers. Zeph I took out pretty handily last week. He was playing Zero Suit. And he was the one where I did really well game 1. Then Billy convinced me to go Luigi.
Nope, I mentioned it.
Nope, he convinced me. Nope, he used his dark mind powers to make me go Luigi. He was too scared.
You will go Luigi.
He was scared of me, so he was like, Rob must be eliminated. I got to make him go Luigi. And then I had no momentum game 3, and he timed me out. It was kind of tough. Oh, we have a guest. The cat with no name.
Please. Okay. But that was actually Rob's fault. He chose. But yeah, the game is developing pretty nicely. We're seeing new characters come out of the folds. We're seeing increased Mega Man usage. That's pretty fun. Mm-hmm. Mega Man's metagame finally developing a little bit. Iggy doing some really interesting things with saw blades.
It's really cool because you can throw it in 8 directions. So he'll use the upbeat to get above you, then throw a saw blade down.
Or he'll even just short hop it, throw it down right in front of him, pick it up, and then use. I don't know if it's quicker. If the actual item throw is quicker than the side B.
It's quicker than I think it's the neutral B actually. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure the item throw is quicker than actually just pressing B and throwing it. That's the way it usually is.
It is neutral B. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
For example, Aerolink in Project M will pull out a bomb, then just drop it, and then throw a boomerang or something. Then he pulls out a second bomb, throws the first bomb, and then he can pick up the bomb from earlier and then throw it. So it's 2 bombs in succession because the second one is faster.
Yeah. So, tournament was pretty cool. We're starting to see increased tournaments around the world. Japanese tournament going
Pac-Man
on
gets
pretty
second.
huge.
Yeah.
170 man. That's insane with Pac-Man getting second. Want to see more Pac-Man. After seeing Rob's DDD, I want to see more DDD because that is just the funnest thing in the world.
Yeah, the BDP is real. It's the Big Daddy Penguin.
Big Daddy Penguin coming at you live.
Yeah.
But all right, well, let's get into the discussion, the meat and potatoes of this streamcast. We're starting off with time play in Smash 4. Go for it.
Okay, so we've all been playing some online with the Japanese version, and from what we can tell so far, it's great. I mean, it would be honestly like a challenge in this day and age to make netcode worse than Brawls. Like,
yeah.
It's actually kind of sad. I'm almost positive that like the month before released, they were like, oh, we promised online play. They just got like 3 interns. It was just like, you guys know how to do this.
Not even real developers.
Yeah.
They just got people up off the street.
Yeah, nobody in Nintendo knew how to make online play, so they had to get people.
Yeah. It was like Golden Boy first episode. He like practices on cardboard.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm really enjoying it. Every once in a while, it is a bit spotty. It can lag pretty tremendously, but overall, it's pretty great. Just make sure that you don't use your microwave.
Yeah, that's actually something that. Also, we can't bring microwaves to tournaments. It just interferes with the wireless signals coming to and from the DS, whether it's on Wi-Fi or like actual even local play because it's wireless. The microwaves being on actually will affect it. So
at least that's what we found. Sethlon will make like a Totino's pizza in the microwave, and we're like, oh, what's that smell? It smells so good. And then we'll look back down at the game, and it's frozen. It's just done. So that's pretty interesting. So we have a only microwave in between matches rule here in the household.
Just leave your microwaves at home.
Yeah, just oven. Just come on, bring your stovetops.
Bring your Easy Bake.
Dude, that was the Easy Bake oven.
Yeah.
That's what I do late at night for a snack. I'm in my room. I just pull out my Easy Bake oven, put it on my lap.
Oh man.
Ding. But overall online play really good. So what do you think that now that we actually have online play, what do you think it's going to do for the community of Smash as a whole?
Well, online play sort of not eliminates, but it reduces one of the most well-known effects in competitive games that you can see in almost every competitive game that exists, is that areas with population density are always the best areas. If you've ever wondered why there's never a top-tier Midwest player in any fighting game you've ever heard of, including Smash, it's because of that. It's because the cities are just too stretched out. There's not a lot of population density, and it's difficult for people to get together and play. And online sort of makes it easier for those people to get quality experience. You just play online, and then you get exposed to...
You get the melting pot action.
Yeah, you get the wide variety of play styles that normally you would get by just, going out to more and more tournaments. And you see it in Street Fighter. You see players like K-Brad who are basically born in Wi-Fi. Well, not Wi-Fi. They're born online, Their skills just come from online. They're the Xbox Live warriors.
They're the weekend warriors, the Wi-Fi warriors. So we got as well as that, the metagame just increases pretty crazily in general. You end up seeing fairly large metagame shifts overall because people will see a tournament. They'll be like, oh, this character's good. I'm going to try them out online. And then everyone tries them out online. You get to see new mindsets, new mechanics, new techniques, and new play styles very quickly at a much greater pace than you would if you just went to a tournament once a week. So that's going to be pretty crazy. A similar thing would be for Magic. Magic, you ended up getting a lot of... In the beginning of Magic, there weren't that many great players, like truly phenomenal players of Magic. But whenever they ended up introducing, Magic Online, and with Magic Online, you could never mess up the rules. Like, every rule is precise, and it made anyone that played online know every single mechanic perfectly. There were no shortcuts, and you just did it perfectly. And so it ended up increasing everyone's skill level overall and making tournaments much crazier in the process.
Yeah.
But, online play is superb, and I hope that it ends up staying. Do you think that there are going to be online well, I mean, there have already been online tournaments, but do you think it's going to continue to be a thing?
No. And here's why. There's one reason that you don't see online tournaments being more prevalent outside of I occasionally, like, they'll do it for bigger games. Like
they'll do it
League,
for StarCraft.
But you need big organizations to do that. And the reason is that all different states have different laws regarding what you can and can't play for. So
I didn't even think about that.
I looked into this, like a year ago. I wanted to do something for Project M, like a big Wi-Fi tournament, when there were a ton of really good players who could really only play online and didn't have the funds to go to tournaments like Zihime or Reflex. But when I was looking into it, I found out that it's really difficult, and some states consider it gambling online when you have people, give their money to a company. So you would have to do something like a sweepstakes, basically have a predetermined prize. But that's so different from what we're used to as Smashers that I decided it wasn't worth it. And basically, you have to have a big enough organization to tackle all those legal problems before you host an online tournament. I mean, online tournaments happen, just not big ones for money.
And it's typically for very specific prize pots instead of, like...
60% of your entry.
So, for me, I think you're going to end up seeing a lot in the beginning, because people are really going to want to do it. They want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see sort of there's like a new subreddit now called Smash Connect, I think. And they're trying to push that as sort of like your hub for competitive online Smash play.
That's cool.
And so that's really interesting. I don't know how long it's going to last, and I don't know how much people are actually going to use it. But personally, for me, I prefer in person.
Yeah, in person gives you a totally different dynamic.
Well, because it's all about the community as well, and as well as that, you can end up. There's this feeling in a lot of competitive play of anything, of just sort of like if you are known as a good player, you have an inherent edge over most players of just, oh my god, I'm playing against Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
God, please help me. And just that feeling overall, you won't get that in online play. And I love that feeling.
Yeah.
I love it whenever I end up having it done to me, like whenever I face against Sethon and PM, I'm like, God, how there's just this tremendous pressure on me just from him sitting there. Mm-hmm. And, the feeling that I can give to other people as well. It just feels good. And it's sort of that mental thing of you've worked so hard and this is where you've come.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hope it works out. I don't think it's going to work out in the long term, though.
We'll see.
But, overall, online play. Let's keep doing it. We ended up doing... Dinty ends up doing it a lot. Like, that's his prime... That's his thing. That's his groove.
Yeah, that's how we got good in Brawl. We played people online. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons I'm so good at PM, is that before a tournament a couple years ago in Chicago, which was my first out-of-city tournament, I spent like a month just playing online, and I got... One of the things was that it exposed me to a bunch of different play styles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was that, I don't know, when in that situation, I was scared that when I left, like, everyone was just going to be so much better than me that I didn't have a shot. But playing all these people online, personally, I was just like, this is, I feel like I am as good as or better than all of these people.
Yeah.
And no one has really amazed me so far. So it gave me more confidence in my abilities.
Yep. You get to see the whole world. I can show you the world. In any case, let's move on to our next topic. And that topic is Melee versus the world. And so let's describe what that is. This is mostly sort of like the general mindset of a lot of Melee enthusiasts with other iterations, future iterations of Smash games past Melee. So, sort of to give a brief example of like where this sort of mentality came about. Bear in mind, we're talking about sort of a general feeling. Obviously, there are plenty of Melee players that are just like, hey, yeah, go Smash 4, and various viewpoints all over which way, which that. This is mostly just sort of a general consensus, outsider's perspective looking in. So whenever Brawl came out, this was the golden child. This was what was supposed to be the next one, because Melee was a god among games, right? It was everyone's pride and joy, and finally there was going to be a new iteration, Brawl. But a problem came about, and that problem was that there was such a large shift in thought process, in play style, and in overall how the game functioned as a whole, that there is a chasm, right? A chasm split down the line. Half of Melee players stayed with Melee. We're saying half. Half of stick with Melee. The other half moved over to Brawl and is like, new game. Melee's like, bad game. Stick with the old game. And so, there have been a lot of arguments, a lot of discussion about Melee versus Brawl. Some started from Melee, some started from Brawl. But just in overall, from a large consensus of Melee enthusiasts of why would you play Brawl when you can play Melee? And that overall mindset just sort of sticked, right? It just stuck. Sticked isn't a word. It's sticked. It's stuck. It's stuck over the years. And then we end up getting to PM. And how did they take it with PM?
They didn't take it well. I mean, there's still a ton of Melee players who just don't want to play PM, even though it's 95% similar to Melee. The controls are exactly the same. There are a handful of characters that are literally ported 100% from Melee with no differences. And, they still don't like it. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. Melee's legit. I love Melee. But at the same time, this sort of mindset, even whenever you have a game that is specifically built to be the next coming of Melee.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a game that is built in that regard, and it's still not accepted, and maybe this has to do with the fact that it's a mod. Maybe it needed to be made by Nintendo for it to be actually, because I started out like that. I was like, I'm not going to put my time in a mod because it's really not real. It's real, but it's just it's fan made, and fan made doesn't necessarily mean professionally made and made to be competitive. Fortunately, due to the makers of PM, super professional guys, and they poured their heart and soul into this game and made it such that it could be treated as such. So then Smash 4 comes out, and
well, you're talking in the future. It's like 3 days from
now. Japanese Smash 4 comes out, right? And even now, we're seeing the same thing happen.
It's
It's not as crazy as it was back then.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely not as bad.
Yeah.
But there are definitely still Melee players who are saying, essentially this game isn't Melee. It's not good enough for me.
Yeah. And so my question to you is because if you look at other communities, right? Other communities that MVC, Street Fighter, those StarCraft, those sorts of games, whenever a new version of the game comes out, you see a fairly large everyone moves over. There's obviously people who don't like it. They stay. You see like a lot of the StarCraft players. A lot of the professional StarCraft players are like, I'm sticking with StarCraft. They didn't move over to StarCraft 2 till a bit later. But even now, they're still moving. Like you're seeing Flash. You're seeing I forgot his name. You're seeing Flash. That's the big one. You're seeing players like that making the switch over and saying, hey, I now support this game because, well, number one, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
And number two, it's time. Everyone else has accepted it. Mm-hmm. And so my question to you is, what do you think it will take for a lot of Melee enthusiasts to move on? And do you think that it will happen, or do you think that they're going to stay?
I don't think it's going to happen. To explain why, we need to explore exactly why your average Melee player is, I don't want to say closed-minded, but let's just say not as open to trying new things.
Sure. Yeah.
So the real reason that Street Fighter players switch and Marvel players switch, but Smash players don't switch, is because from Marvel 2 to Marvel 3, the game's creators specifically wanted a game, because they noticed that it was competitive. Yep. They want a game to be competitive, and they want it to be, a good game that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
When Brawl came out, Sakurai was explicit. He saw what was happening with Melee, and I think it's just sort of the Nintendo philosophy is that you should really only, it's similar to Apple. They only want you to use their products in the way that they intend.
Yeah.
So they can, because that's in their minds how you get the most enjoyment or use out of it. So he sees Melee and he's very open. He says, I hate this. Not verbatim.
Hashtag I hate Smash.
Yeah. He sees Melee, he sees the tournaments, and he says, this is not what I want my game to be.
Yeah.
I don't want my game, I didn't intend for it to be played this fast. I want items on, I want everybody to have fun. I don't want anyone to ever sit down and play Smash with somebody and there to be a gap in skill. So he actually set out, when he was making the game, to make it uncompetitive, which is unheard of. We've seen like Halo 2 to Halo 3, to the other Halos, and stuff like that. The game gets sort of not dumbed down, but they remove exploits and lower the skill barrier. Yeah. They make it more accessible.
Even in Magic.
Yeah, you see it in Magic. There's another one that I was thinking of that I forgot. But I mean, you see it all the time. I call it games getting brawled. But the fundamental difference is that they still want the games to be played competitively. They want their games to be played competitively. Yeah. Sakurai didn't want that. He wanted the opposite. He didn't want, people putting this much serious time into the game. Yep. And so when the developer who made your favorite game says, this, what you like, what you've put your life into, this is exactly what I don't want. And when I make a sequel, I'm going to, leave you guys out to dry. Yeah. I'm going to make a random chance for you to fall over to make this game as uncompetitive as possible. Yeah. That really sucks. Because I was that guy in 2008.
Same.
I loved Melee. I had only played for about a year, but I loved it. I was into Smashboards and the competitive aspect. Brawl comes out, I played for a month. It was just, I couldn't deal with it. And, reading all this stuff where, it's purposefully made so someone like me wouldn't enjoy it, that hurts. Yeah. That sucks. And those sentiments are echoed out throughout almost every Melee player who was around from then.
Yeah.
You know, that's just really a horrible thing to have the developer just basically spit in your face and say, I don't want this. So it creates this sort of feeling of, like, you know, distrust, I guess a little bit, and abandonment.
Yeah.
And how, you know, it almost killed Melee. People stopped going to tournaments.
DFW was
dry. Oh, it did
there were
kill
like
DFW.
There were like 5 people left.
Maybe.
It
That's
was
being
insane.
very generous.
It was insane.
Everybody played, yeah. Everybody moved on. But then the way that they got out of that was they, you know, bonded the community together with 2 notable tournaments. The first was Revival of Melee, and the second was Genesis. And between those 2 events, Melee saw a huge. It was the beginning of a golden age that we're in now.
Yeah.
We sort of, you know, it's basically I think the best a community can do while still being grassroots.
Yeah.
Is how Melee got out of that slump. And you know, that sense of community and togetherness is pretty awesome. It's pretty great. But at the same time, when you have people in your community who remember what it was like to have a new game that everyone tried to force them to play, that was specifically made to try and, you know, drown out this game. When they see new Smash games, it's very understandable when people as part of that community can see it as a threat to the game that they love.
Yeah, and you know, a very real threat, because I mean, you know, PM has also come a long way.
Yeah,
and it, in my opinion, has helped Melee grow as well, because you see just a lot of PM only players. You know, they're going to go to a tournament for PM, but most of the skills end up transferring over.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, well, I'll enter Melee as well. And so then you see these fairly large brackets that are just very hype because of it. Bracket sizes that we have never seen before, just gigantic. And, you know, even with the Big House 4 coming up, 500, is it 500?
I think it's 500 something for Melee and like in 200 something for PM.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's that doesn't happen. And so even whenever this new game comes out, Melee enthusiasts are like, well, I remember what happened when Brawl came out.
Yeah.
And so maybe that mentality of just, y'all stay over there, y'all should, all of us continue playing Melee, don't make the community die again. Because it took us 5 years just to build it back up. So yeah, that's sort of the mentality. That it's definitely less than when it was when Brawl, because Brawl, it was just downright vicious. Sort of the hate battles between the 2 groups. Yeah. It was really bad. This is much less died down. I mean, you can even go to like Tourney Locator videos and you'll see comments just sprinkled about here and there saying, you know, back to Melee, or
thanks, Aerolink.
yeah, essentially. By the way, small notes: Aerolink versus P-Wing from our last tournament has gotten over 1/3 of all the dislikes of all of our videos over the past month.
Thank you, Sergio and Sean.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
Y'all are doing good work. You're doing the Lord's work.
Doing Sakurai's work. Okay, so I guess before we move on, I just want to put it, I think it was MT, Austin Melee player, who said this. That sort of, you know, got this idea going in my head. He said, you know, most people will play a new game because they like the new game, but we don't want, you know, a good game. We just want Melee. So there's really 2 types of people who play Melee players. There's players who play Melee, and there's Melee players. The Melee players, they just want Melee.
Yep.
The players who play Melee like good games,
waiting.
and as a side effect, they enjoy Melee.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, just, I suppose, keep that in mind.
Yeah. But decrease the hate. Let's do better this time. We're already doing better. Let's just accept the fact that we all love.
At the end of the day, we love Smash, and all these games are going to help the other games grow.
Yep.
But if you're a meanie,
if you're a hater,
if you are a hater and you are mean to people, you're just going to hurt the community.
Yeah.
Just if you don't like Smash 4, or you don't like Melee, or you don't like PM, just keep it to yourself. Everybody's got a different cup of tea, and even if you don't like it, by existing, it makes your game better.
Yeah. It's all about constructing a better community so that everyone can get on board and we can get an even stronger support for the game. So maybe one day we can turn grassroots into first-party support.
Mm-hmm.
It may never happen.
Maybe.
We're seeing small inklings that it may happen, but this is really just Nintendo, dipping their toes in the water and just...
Yeah, they did. I mean, the GameStop tournament happened for Brawl.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Past this, we'll see how much Nintendo wants to actually support the competitive scene. But I mean, that's in the future. No point speculating on it. Let's move on.
Yeah. So, next topic. We got all the single ladies, a.k.a. women in Smash. That's actually the title of our stream, is all the single ladies.
We had cue cards. We just say all the single ladies.
Yeah, it's just, we need to...
Yeah.
All the single ladies?
All the single,
yeah. So, this topic is very specific to the feminine... species? No, not species.
Species.
Gender. That's the word, gender. The feminine gender inside of the Smash community, and how it's been in the past and where we're going with it. So tell me about the past and women in Smash.
Well, the past is not so great. Regarding women, just because of how few there were.
Very few.
Honestly,
not nearly non-existent.
The only in the, I guess, sort of like 4-ish years that I played Melee. I didn't go to that many tournaments, but I was really active in following the scene.
Yeah.
In that time, before Project M, the only girl I ever knew who played was Emily Waves.
Yeah. Emily, a prominent figure in whenever Melee had died in the DFW community.
She revived it.
She herself put out tournaments, just like 8-man tournaments, 12-man tournaments, just whatever it took just to keep Melee going. It was great. So if you ever go,
I saw her at Apex this year.
Really?
Yeah, I said hi because she was, she lives in New York now.
Was she like, who are you?
No, she recognized me. She was like, Rob.
So yeah, thank you, Emily. You did DFW a great service, because without her, we wouldn't have any of the events that, or at least the beginnings of any of the events that we have
really
now.
Spearheaded the growth of Melee. Melee's in Dallas.
Yep.
You see the dimes and stuff. It's died down a little bit recently, but I mean, it's
to be expected. New game
plus going back to school and stuff. But I'm sure it's just temporary.
Yeah, definitely. So as well as that, in general, in esports, it's been a bit rough for the ladies. A lot of negative terminology, a lot of sexism, a lot of harassment, and you've seen multiple articles about this recently and of the past year about just women in video games, how they're treated, how they're portrayed. And that's the past, though. Really bad words. Yeah, lots of bad words. And as a woman, I'm not a woman, but as a woman, I imagine whenever you go to an event and you get a terrible word thrown around every third time, and people staring at you very, suspiciously, doesn't make you feel very welcome. In general, and a lot of jokes and just not good. Mm-hmm. But recently, after it was not exposed, but brought to light that this was an issue and that people in general need to work on it. First, just in the video game industry as a whole, there was like a huge Twitter thing about women in video games. But just in the Smash community, with articles posted about just terrible things happening to women, we see some changes. Words being replaced with, instead of the terrible term of I raped you. Forgive me. I raped you. Things like that have been replaced with, oh, you got bopped, right? Yeah. You got doodle bopped, or you
mollywopped. I really just love seeing people get creative with the words that you can say.
Yeah. Yeah. You have D1's destruction and just different terms that aren't infused with negativity, but rather just hype words to be used. Mm-hmm. But and so that's really good. As well as that, with the inclusion of Smash 4, a game that seems to be in general catering a bit more to the female audience. We have Shulk in his swimsuit costume, and less. Well, I mean, Smash games haven't really had vulgarity in terms of attire as other games do, but just a very feminine-centric design overall. Sure. And we end up seeing this same shift even in, for instance, our DFW Facebook group for Smash 4. Nearly non-existent women have now turned into, I think Dinty said 15-1.
That sounds bad.
That does sound bad.
That's really good compared to probably a couple years ago. It was probably 40 something.
Yeah, you would get maybe one woman in a tournament or near a tournament, and then they probably run away. Yeah. But you would get one, and that'd be it. But now we got 4. That's 4 times as many.
But the important thing isn't necessarily the number.
Yeah,
it's the increase.
Yeah,
it's the rate. Mm-hmm. Is that women are. Once we're starting to remove the stuff saying rape and harassment and getting better about being aware that, women want to play this game too.
Yeah.
Once we start seeing some of that, women have started coming into the community.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's going to end up bolstering our numbers in general. It's going to make a better community as a whole. You get a variety of different... Already, in the Smash community, we get a variety of different just people in general. And it's great. It's just this veritable melting pot within a small community. But all guys.
Yeah.
But now we tossing ladies along, and it allows for an even greater spread of knowledge, understanding, and love. Really.
Yeah.
Just.
And another bonus, women tend to smell nicer than men. So at tournaments, more women, the less horrible your venue is going to smell.
Seriously, man.
Yeah.
God. Old Spice, please.
Oh my God, Old Spice. I want to be sponsored by Old Spice.
That would be great.
Old Spice.
Old Spice, if you're listening.
Yeah, please. What was that? What was the actor's name?
Oh God,
Isaiah Mustafa with something like that.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah. So if you're watching, obviously shirtless as is your natural form. Please, we want a sponsorship. So
did you see him do the ice bucket challenge?
No.
He's like, all right, it is time to do the ice bucket challenge, and then he does it, and it's just like a force field.
Oh.
He's just like. And yeah, it was good stuff. It's good stuff. So yeah, Old Spice, hit us up. We can make this happen. We'll give out free sticks of deodorant to all of our participants, and they will definitely use it because I'll force it. It'll be part of the entry fee.
Yeah, put this on.
It'd be
welcome to the tournament. Put this on.
It'd be like an armpit check.
Yeah.
But,
oh man.
But really, seriously.
Yeah, but seriously, take a shower.
Yeah. So yeah. I hope that everything turns out really well with women and in general in the world, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that just about covers it. Coming up this weekend, the big event. The super big event. One that is so big, the biggest house in the world had to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
The big house. The big house 4.
The fourth big house.
Yeah. They had
the first 3 weren't big enough.
Yeah. The first 3 houses, the architects just didn't think about it. It's just like, this just really isn't big enough. So yeah, the big house 4 is coming up this weekend. Y'all should definitely either travel there or tune in to VG Boot Camp and our stream.
Tourney Locator.
Yeah, we're going to be doing, we'll be doing PM. They'll be doing Melee. It's going to be a phenomenal event. Oracle here is actually going to be there.
Yeah, so expect to see me entering both games as well as on commentary for both streams.
Yeah. This handsome devil, he's going to serenade you with his words and songs.
Doing an eyebrow thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sexy.
Yeah.
But in any case, yeah, the big house 4, it's definitely happening this weekend. This Saturday is going to be the Nintendo GameStop event, just like in Brawl, except this time there's no prize outside of a robe and the game. So,
I thought they were going to fly the winners out.
Yeah, but there's no prize for that.
That's.
I suppose that is the prize, is you get to go to New York.
It's a pretty good prize, unless it's like in like Queens or something.
Yeah, they just drop you off. It's like
you get in a cab.
They parachute you. Yeah. They're like, get out of here. You're like at like 2 a.m. in Queens. There's just like cat running by, car alarm going off.
Grand finals, yeah.
Woo! Yeah, so that's happening this Saturday. There's going to be one tournament in Dallas. I don't know when I'm going to get in line, but it's capped at 64 man.
Oh yeah, I would if I'm going to be gone, but if I were here, I would definitely show up at about 5, maybe 4 in the morning. Just in case.
Show up at 10 a.m.
No, show up at.
I'll show up at 9 a.m.
It starts at like 5:30.
Yeah, it starts at like 5:30 p.m.
Just show up whenever.
Just show up at 5. They'll definitely put you in there.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, it's going to be kind of crazy. It'll be free for all items. So
for the first few rounds, I think it's like free for all and items for the first round, and then once it's down to 16 people, then it's not free for all. There might still be items. I don't know, but the rules do change.
We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on this upcoming Sunday, it will be our first U.S. release for Smash 4. And I will be taking care of that. I will be your TO, your concierge to the tournament.
Yeah.
And that will be at FX Game Exchange.
Yep, October 11th. No, that's something else.
That's something else.
October 5th. Sunday at FX Game Exchange. Show up at 10:30. It's when we open the doors. We're going to start doubles. We're going to be trying a new tournament form. Not new. It's old, from the 1800s, but it's called Swiss. Anybody who's played a card game is familiar with it.
Yep.
Should make things run a lot quickly and having the additional effect of giving everybody many more matches. So it's going to be great.
Oh, it's going to be real good. I can't wait. We're going to end up having time limits. That's going to be so much fun. I'm going to have like a little stopwatch. Oh, it's going to be great stuff.
Yeah.
I want to like do the whole magic thing where you have a clock.
Oh, Do you remember Epic, where I hosted Play a Real Game?
Yeah.
So they play Yu-Gi-Oh! So they need a match clock. but they didn't have one. All they had was this big digital clock, but it was broken, so you couldn't set it. So it's on military time, so it says 0000. So before every round, they would unplug it and plug it back in, and then once it got to 40 minutes, they would unplug it. It was awesome.
That's some ingenuity right there.
It was great.
It's good stuff.
Shout outs to Epic.
We'll probably do a stopwatch. I'll just use my phone, man.
Something like that. Yeah.
We'll do something. We don't need to go that drastic, but that would be interesting. But in any case, come out on Sunday. It's going to be great. Look up Swiss if you haven't seen it before. Lots of people use it, and it's pretty straightforward. You're going to be able to play a lot of games. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yep, it's going to be great.
But is there anything else that you have to say for the fine folks?
2 things. First of all, when I did say October 11th, I was pointing out the speed running tournament, Godspeed. We're going to speed run Super Mario 64. It's going to be great. If you've ever seen Super Mario 64, speed ran, it's pretty crazy. It's incredible. I mean, it's one thing to watch on YouTube, and it's another thing to see it live. I've seen some of my friends do it, and it is just so impressive. Really, I would just show up to just check it out if you haven't. Speedrunning is cool. Events on Tourney Locator and Facebook.
Yep,
I think. Anyways,
yes, it is.
But the second thing is post in the comments if you want topics for us to talk about next time. Yes. So topics or just questions you want to ask us, and we will take those into account. Maybe
on YouTube.
On YouTube. YouTube comments, Twitch comments. Not really.
I'm going to look at the chat after this, so just keep posting it. I'll look at it. We'll talk a bit. I'll write them down.
Mm-hmm. We'll answer some of your questions next week on the podcast.
Speaking of which, I probably need to make this, rip out the audio, put it on a real podcast.
Yeah.
We could have TLOC Talk, the real podcast.
The real podcast.
Yeah. But, we got a bit of a shorter episode this week. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all have a good Tuesday. I'm Bwett.
I'm Oracle.
Have a good night.